Okay, let's get started here. My name is Steve. I am with the Quiller Success Team. And this webinar about QwilrPay. It's kind of help you all kind of walk through setting up QwilrPay. QwilrPay allows you to um, make the choice to accept payment forms here with your Quiller proposal. So at the point that they e-sign it and accept it, they can also enter in their payment information. Some broad strokes about what we'll cover today. And today is kind of how to get started, sort of like payments access, what it looks like for the customer when a proposal has QwilrPay on it, and then what it looks like inside of Quiller and Stripe. Not necessarily in this order. And then, of course, we'll have time for Q&A. You can feel free to either post in the chat or the Q&A session. At times, I may glance over to them to answer those as we're kind of moving through this. But for those that don't know, with Quiller, you are able to plug in. QwilrPay is powered by Stripe, so it's utilizing a Stripe account, right? In order to handle all of the like transaction stuff and payment security and all that item, but it can appear inside of Quiller. So we're going to back up out of this page into this test Quiller account here so I can kind of show you what it looks like. And I'm going to start with sort of like our US demo, but I will get to the Australian demo because I imagine there's a handful of people from the Australian, New Zealand region as well. It all kind of works relatively the same. It all allows for credit card and it all allows for like bank debits. So I think what is it? I think it's called BEX in Australia. It's ACH in the US. And then obviously credit cards, and then some things like in the US you can do like Google Pay and Apple Pay and stuff like that. But we'll get into those details. So let's start out. So if I was starting out, in order to set up QwilrPay, I'd want to go up to my library on my account and I want to go up to this payment section. Now, if I wasn't already plugged in and everything, a little thing would be like, hey, click to connect payment gateway. Now, I don't need to click on this and everything, but if I were to, it would give me this little window here, click connect, and then it pops over to like a Stripe account, and you can either log into an existing Stripe account or you can create your own. But once you've logged into an existing Stripe account, you are good to go on this side. You probably won't have the history of transactions that my test account here has. And we'll get into what like these are and where this information is coming from. But then will be the next step will be this. Now you only have the one. This is a specific test account. So as you can see, I'm able to kind of toggle between them, but you'll mostly be in here. Let me zoom in a little bit here so that we're not squinting our eyes on the old share here. So these are sort of your default settings for QwilrPay on the Quiller side of things. So you have allow creators to edit payments on pages, allow creators to manage when the payment is required, allow creators to uh, manage partial payments, and allow creators to manage alerts on page. So these are what you can allow your creators to do. And what they're really talking about here, where they're really getting into, is these default options. So I've got a default set up on this account to enable it on all pages, and I can require payment on accept, or I could make it optional if I turn this off. I could decide to have a partial payment, so that will be either a percentage of the total that my quote is for that they're agreeing to, or a flat fee, right? And then I can show buyers a payment alert. That looks a little bit like, if I scroll down, a little bit like this. So when they open up the page and they might see that accept button at the top, they'll see like a little notification that lets them know that they can pay there. And this is just my defaults, right? So these are the defaults there, and then these permissions are what, if you're an admin on an account, of course you can make all the changes. If you're a creator on the account, you can set it up so that your creators have maybe some or no access to make any changes to this. Now, all of these things can be set up on a per page or per template level. This is just sort of like what the base account settings are. But say if you had different templates, and on some templates, for Quiller, you wanted to have, say, like maybe they do part payment on some templates. You could set that up at the template level and pages would inherit it, or you could set that up on the individual page level, right? And so you have the options for all of this. And then payment methods is mostly defined by the integration. And you'll see some things enabled. We'll get into where you manage sort of payment methods when we get into sort of the Stripe side of this and what things look like on the Stripe side. But yeah, these are sort of the defaults and everything. Again, you won't have all these different ones. You'll have your main Stripe account that you're plugged into, and you once you're all set up, you won't have this connect payment gateway button because you'll have connected a payment gateway. Again, this is just our just for like demo purposes. We have this version of things set up. I accidentally logged myself out of that. Oh, there we go. So let's go back to this page. So I'm going to go back to this page in editor here. And here we go. In this page, we'll see that we've got a couple options here. So I'm just going to select one, and we've got these. And we'll see all this stuff is all set up. This is all set up for USD in this case. And then right now, you'll see that in the quote block is not where we tuck in the QwilrPay settings. We actually tuck it into the accept block. And this will show regardless of if it's one of these style of accepts or if it's the one where we add an agreement and then it pops up with the little agreement modal. So if I added like something like I think this is our default little terms of service type generic agreement and everything, we'll see that it gets added in here and everything. So it'll pop up either way. I'm going to delete the agreement though, because I think it's a little cleaner. And so on the editor side, we can kind of see what the customer is going to see. They're going to have the card option. They're going to have, in the case of the US, the bank account option. But I'm actually going to show you what this looks like from the customer's perspective. So let me copy the shareable link. Let me open up this browser that's a different instance than what I'm in. And let's see this from the customer perspective. So from the customer perspective, I've got this option checked. I've got this option checked. Let's pivot it. So I see this. Apparently, I'm going to pay the monthly fee up front here. And so I get to click accept. Now, I don't have e-sign turned on this because, we're being simple for demo, but you'll have the e-sign. But the reason I wanted to show you the customer perspective as well, especially in the US here, is that you'll see that I have the option because this browser, this Chrome browser, is the same profile that I use for my Android phone. I have the option to pay with Google Pay. You can turn that off, obviously, in Stripe, but it's essentially just a different form of, in the same fashion of Stripe's sort of credit card processing. I have the option to Google Pay, or I have the option to do a US bank account. Now, we all know what entering a credit card looks like and everything. Qwilr's had credit card payment integration with Stripe for a long time now, but let's do the bank account option. So the bank account option, they're going to enter in like an email. So I'm just going to enter in my work email here at Qwilr.com, and I'll put in my first and last name, Stephen Kelsey, and then I can search for a bank, but let's do a test institution, and then I'm going to click agree and continue, and then it's going to give me some options here. Now, obviously, I would have like the bank option I chose to be like a little pop-up. So let's say I'm talking like Bank of America or Chase here in the US or something like that. Or in my case, I bank with a credit union called Boeing Employees Credit Union. So I'd be able to find that, do all the verification, then they'd give me the success. Now, as you can see, my test account has my test version here has all these different options. They'll just have like the successful login prompt, assuming they put in their login information correctly. And then with Stripe, because Stripe has a service called Link, which is kind of like a Google Pay and Apple Pay, like a quick pay kind of service. People can set that up, and that's just part of Stripe's functionality. At least in the US, you'd be surprised how many people have like Link Pay accounts because they make it pretty easy to set one up. but we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to do the bank side of things, and it's going to say, "Hey, your account was successful," and then it'll show the bank account details and everything, and that I logged in, and then it will give me the ability to click the little checkbox because I got to do that. Put in all of my fields up here that I need to put in, right? So Stephen at Qwilr.com, Qwilr success, and then we'll do a little e-signature, and I'll just type in Stephen. So adopt and sign. There we go. Click accept. And that was for 12,600. So normal acceptance process, they see it, they get the signed PDF copy. So now let's go back to uh, let's go back to our Qwilr account. So of course, because this page has been accepted, it booted me out of the editor because I can no longer make changes to it. I could go back into it, certainly, and look at it in this form, and it'll give me the same thing that you've always seen. Little cool thing about paid accounts here, you can see that it was paid on the old audit trail here, which is real nice. And you can see that it was paid by ACH direct debit, which is, again, what we call bank debits in the US. And now, if I go back to my library, and I go back to payments, what I should see at the top here is a nice little payment from today. It's 4:45 local time for me. Um, and there it is. There's my Qwilr account. So it gives me some of the details there that it's able to surface, right? Does the little last four of the digits and the bank information, says that it is succeeded, all that good stuff, right? And everything. And I can do little sortings like by status or by payment method. Um, so if I want to try to sort by payment method and apply and see who's done card, I can see everyone that's done card. And then I can click out of that and get rid of those and by amount. And I can kind of quickly export some information if it does help me to export it, just like right there. And that's really nice. Um, and then I can go into details and I can kind of update payout settings and stuff like that. But let's go as if I signed in to change some details about my Stripe account. Now I'm going to refresh this page, and I believe it should show my new things. There we go. See? So in my Stripe account, it shows the description is the title of my page. Still shows all that customer information and everything like here. Um, and then I'd be able to do some things here, right? Like I could look into it. Um, look into it. If I needed to refund something, I could refund something here. If I wanted to go into this customer and maybe later they're like, oh, 6 months down the road they do something else with me, I have their information, I can make a decision on creating an invoice or creating an invoice for them or putting them on a subscription and everything. So before I get into anything more, let's talk about fees. Let's talk about fees here. So you'll see that there's a Stripe processing fee on this ACH, and you'll see that there's a Qwilr application fee. Now, regionally, this varies, and Stripe has those fees listed on their accounts, but regionally, this varies for the Stripe processing fees. Let's see if this will go to the thing. So this is the US one. So for all credit cards, and we did an ACH, but for all credit cards, Stripe charges 2.9% plus 30 cents on whatever is processed. So, if that's $100, it's $2.90 plus 30 cents. So that's 3.20. And that's Stripe's fee. There's not much we can do with that. For ACH fees, for like bank debit fees, there's a hard cap at $5. So that's why we see that $5 amount here, is that I want to say it's something like 1 point something percent up to $5 or whatever that number equals, right? Now you'll see on this $12,600 charge, there is a Qwilr application fee. What that is that's Qwilr's fee, and that's our side of it, and that's $6.30. What that essentially means is that with Quiller, essentially we charge about 90 cents for every $1,000. So $10,000 would be usually $9. $10,000 would be usually $9, and everything like that. But that's our standard fee price. So if you do, $1,000 transaction, we're going to charge 90 cents. If you do a 5,000, it'll be like 450, $4.50. We don't have a cap on that. If you're an enterprise user, it's 50 cents. So if you have an enterprise account with us, it's 50 cents uh, uh, for every $1,000. So it's a little bit cheaper that way. Um, uh, uh, the Stripe fees are not part of a refund. So if I was going to refund this customer, let's say I wanted to refund this customer for whatever reason, so you'll see that the total net amount I received was 12,588.70. If I clicked refund, it would say, "Hey, you can refund. Uh, 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 you can do a refund. Warning about disputes. Credit cards. This doesn't come up as much." And then you can select the reason, and you can select the total minus fees. So you could select your net amount if you want to not take the fees, or you can take the hit on the fees. With credit cards, it will automatically preclude you from refunding any of the fees, um, and everything on that side, unless you manually type it in. So any plans on adding alternate payment processors? Stripe has been causing big problems, forcing businesses to go elsewhere. Impact payments and drop CC are both great options. Great recommendations. You're going to literally see me pull up a little notepad document here. Actually, I'll do a Word doc here. And so I'm just writing this bad boy down. What do you got? You got impact payments, and drop.cc. Okay, so and these are payment options outside of Stripe, side of Stripe. So we don't have immediate plans to pivot off of Stripe in the way that like we have like a clear path of these are who we're definitely going with. But we did name it QwilrPay for a reason. Our eventual goal is to have options under that. We like, we've had a partnership with Stripe for a long time. Again, people who've been with us for a while know that you've been able to do credit card payments with Stripe, no problem. But we wanted to no longer be like locked into Stripe. So as we sort of evolve this platform in the Pay platform, and kind of set everything up on the integration we kind of already had, we are absolutely looking around at other potential partners. But for right now, it's just Stripe. Um, right now, it's just Stripe. You can negotiate directly with Stripe on your fees. I have no idea what that looks like. I don't get involved in those conversations. Quiller doesn't. So you can reach out to them directly, and see if you kind of qualify for like less of a credit card or what have you. I don't know what the requirements are. Uh, 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 nor does Quiller have right now, at least, any significant influence on that. So speaking of the evolving QwilrPay platform, while we're talking about it, one of the things that everyone with Quiller, who's been with Quiller, and even if you had Stripe set up at the initial, is that Quiller can only take the initial payment, and then if you have to do recurring billing, you have to set up that in Stripe. Now we have a help doc article that kind of walks you through this, but I'm just going to kind of show you what I would do. So, like, let's say I'm back on my transactions and I know that I'm coming back for something. That it's like that was the initial payment, but I want to set up a recurring thing. I would just go into me, right, as a person, and now that I have that, I can go to my customer version here, and I can do stuff like create a subscription, and then from there I can pick up. Let's assume that I have a product here. Um, so let's assume I had a subscription product, but I'd be able to pick up the subscription product. I'd be able to define when it started. The product would have the frequency of it. And I could define things like, hey, payment on file, or maybe I just want to invoice it each time, you know, each time, do things like billing settings and items like that, right? And so I'd be able to set that up and set up when that gets going. So we have a help doc that kind of walks through that. That's all the same as it's ever been, but that would be it. However, come beginning of August, Qwilr should automatically be able to do that for you. So if you had a proposal like this proposal that I've been on, so if I go back to this guy, and I specifically wanted to make sure that I had monthly charges on it, right? So if I had a proposal like this, once it loads up here, and it had this kind of per month breakdown, that it would automatically set that up based off the Qwilr quote block. That should be out. I talked to the PM about it. It should be out sometime in August, and then that'll make that part a little bit easier for you all. So hopefully we won't have to be logging in every time we have any kind of recurring things. This also deeply benefits Qwilr, as you might imagine. So now let's talk a little bit about payment settings. So I'm going to go back to my home on this one, and I'm going to go up to settings, and I'm going to go up to pay, or I'm going to go over to payments. So we want to go into payment methods here. So I'm going to do the Qwilr configuration. We're going to talk about some payment methods. Now you're going to see some things here that exist on this account, and some things that are considered blocked. The reason, and when you see the pop-up, you'll be like, hey, Qwilr's blocked this for you. The reason that Qwilr has blocked these payments that are listed as blocked is based off our current accept proposal platform. So like a great example right now is that ACH, which is very much US language for bank debits, is active. In Australia, we've got that. Europe, we've got that. In the case of Canada and the UK specifically, and UK has a lot of banks, as does Canada, that will just automatically process the ACH side of things. But in the case of those, for their specific regional ones, um, um, uh, which I think in Canada it's called backs. I might be wrong there, but uh, uh, the way that those get accepted in Qwilr's acceptance language works, and like the program of how we take e-signature and everything, the communication phases there weren't quite perfectly set up. So we released this with the knowledge that over time we will update it to add more regions. It's the same thing with a lot of these people, I believe, in Australia, and are familiar with Afterpay, and in Europe and the US and everything like that are familiar with Klarna. Our intention is to eventually have these function. But right now, the way that our acceptance works, the way that our processes and communication works, these weren't working, so they're listed as blocked. However, anything that is listed as active, or that you can turn on, you're welcome to turn on or turn off. So like, let's say you don't want to confuse your customers, maybe they're not familiar with Link or you're worried about it. You can just go into Link here. Um, uh, you can go into Link here and you can just turn that bad boy off. Let's say you never want to pay credit card fees. You're like, I'm not about that 2.9% energy and I just don't want it. Turn that bad boy off, and then it will just show them the bank transfer option and everything. And then you don't have to worry about that 2.9% Stripe fee. Same thing with Apple Pay, Google Pay, and stuff like that. So this would be where you could set those kinds of rules, and they get set in here. And this is account wide. So like, I can't do different kinds of acceptance payments for different things on a QwilrPay account. That is sort of like the rough and tumble. So now I'm going to do a switch. Now I apologize because I haven't tried this one yet. I did the US one earlier. I'm going to switch over to Australian and see how that works in this dev account. So we're going to go to library, we're going to go to payments, and instead of this, I'm going to go to the Australian account. Now I'm on the Australian account. Now let's see if I go over to my test accounts here. You can see I've got a whole bunch of them. I'm going to assume that this is Australia. Let's hope. Now, I don't know if we have any transactions under this, so let's see if I can make one trigger. I'm going to clone this page. Good old classic Quiller clone. I'm going to go into it and edit it, and we're going to see what the Australian aesthetic ends up looking like here. So I'm just going to call this Australia. Just to do things. I'm going to scroll down to this. We're going to change this from USD to AUD. You know what? Just for funsies, we'll leave it at this and everything. And then for QwilrPay, we're going to make sure all of our settings are there. There we go. See, again, you won't have to deal with this multi-select thing. That's on me. But this is a good example of having all these little options here on the individual page level. So I could turn payments off. Like, let's say for some reason they're having like bank issues or something like that. I could turn payments off here. And in fact, what I will try to do in this example is do a declined payment to just sort of like show what's happening on that. But for now, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. I've got Australian here. I've made sure that I've got Australian here. Uh, and I'm in the Australian account. So let's click share, set live, confirm. And we're going to copy that shareable link. And we're going to do the same thing I did with this one, but we're going to do the Australian one instead. Paste, pop. And we're on the right page because it's got the Australia one. Got this. Let me click accept. I'm going to do a little trick here. I think I can just, can I do the thing? Yeah, we have a little auto trick here. I'm going to change the name. Actually, you know what? I don't like the trick. Steven. I'm going to go Stevo, Kelso, Steven at Qwilr.com, and then Qwilr. So I have the card, the Australian direct debit, and Google Pay still. Now, because this is the test account, it's showing me this. I wouldn't have this in America. So, like, let's say you're an Australian company and you do Australian dollars and you have Stripe do the conversions and you're quoting them in Australian dollars and all that good stuff and everything. And an American person wants to do like an American bank, it won't show it to me because I don't have that functionality. But this is the Australia look for it. So here's the card, here's this. If I want to do a card, I can do a card. If I want to do a debit, I can do a debit. If I wanted to do a Google Pay, I could do a Google Pay here. Uh, will it let me do a test account? Will it fail? So that can't possibly be an account number. What happens if I keep entering in numbers? I don't know how many numbers this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be that many numbers. So let's try to click accept. Oh, gotta click sign. Steve-O. I don't know what this B2B is. Test, enter. See, even now, even in the dev account, it's kind of struggling with me here on this because it's like you're in a US, this is a US browser and everything. So, if I had a B2B, if I was able to do all this, or BSB, if I was able to do all this, great. I don't, and so what we're gonna do is just to show off, kind of like how this works. I'm gonna switch back over to US. I'm going to switch back over to US on the account. So now I've switched those back, both back to US. I'm going to go back to my library here and I'm going to show you a failure. Okay, there we go. So we're connected. Great. I'm going to refresh this public page. I'm still glad that it showed at least the appropriate aesthetic of Australian and kind of what those customers would see. But I want to uh, show off what the declines look like. We'll do another bank account one, but we'll do a test institution and we'll agree and continue. And then this one will be insufficient funds. Great one. We're not going to save it with link. We'll go and we'll click accept. Now, here's what's going to happen. Because this was a test account and it could not verify against like a true bank, it should just show me the failure here. There it is. So this is what failed would look like. So a little bit of a processing fee and a processing fee. So on the fail, it did do the processing fee. You get a bit of a refund on that, so you don't have to worry about that. But it'll show you the fail, and it'll even show you, if I recall correctly, yeah, here in the details, payment declined by issuing bank. Tell the customer to try a different payment method, or they can contact their issuing bank, and then you can go into the Stripe thing, and it'll give you kind of all the different declines and everything. It goes kind of deep into the API, and then it jumps in with like decline codes. So these are all the different things that can be decline codes for payments. And then if I was in the Stripe account here, if I went back to the US account, should also show the same thing here. So yeah, this goes into it a little bit more. And I can get really in the weeds on the whole like API setting. Payment failed, see all this like code line, but you don't really need that. You just need to know that it failed. And so that is QwilrPay, pretty much in a summation. Um, it's something you can certainly turn on. It doesn't cost anything to like turn on or sign up or give a test to. You're also welcome to turn it on with one account, right? Like, so you could set up a test Stripe account. If you do set up a Stripe account fresh, it'll ask you a bunch of little like business details, but you can do yourself like a personal test account. Qwilr's not just going to charge you for like having it. We also have this help doc right here that you're seeing, which is called Introducing QwilrPay. You can get there by going into the Qwilr knowledge base, or you can do what I do most of the time, which is if I just want to find something about Qwilr, and especially with QwilrPay because it's one word and it's easy to find. I can go type in QwilrPay in Google, and after I get past our competitors' sponsored listings, I can see both the announcement on the website and this little help doc that kind of walks through a lot of what I've covered here. Any questions or comments here in the last several minutes of here, or I can also give you your time back. I'm happy either way. Um, you can put them in the Q&A or you can put them in the notes. But if not, I'll let you all kind of have your time back because I think this is really useful. Thank you again, Andrew, for mentioning these two right here. I'll pass them over to my products team. I know we're looking at, like the concept of being like, oh, be cool if we could do a few different payment platforms, and then people would have flexibility, but it would all kind of work the same, right? You just kind of pick which platform you log in and connect to, and then from the customer point of view, it would all kind of look the same. And thank you so much. But if there are no other questions, I am gonna let all of you have a few minutes back to your day. For those of you in the US, happy end of our Wednesday. For those of you in Australia and APAC in general, happy beginning of your Thursday. You all have a great rest of your afternoon. Keep an eye out for updates from either from team members, our marketing team, and everything for when we do the V2 update for recurring payments and some other features, as we try to improve the functionality and getting paid. Right there at sign, which would be real nice. As you all know, no, everyone hates chasing payments. But for now, you all have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.